Welcome to History Nuts. I'm Russ Carson Jr., the founder of Family Tree Nuts. At Family Tree Nuts, we build family trees for people, and we produce videos at historic locations and videos that help to honor your ancestors.
I'm Jameson Cable, founder of the Kentucky History Podcast, where we talk about anything Kentucky history, events, people. If it has to do with Kentucky, we're going to discuss it.
And we've teamed up together to bring you History Nuts.
History Nuts is a live show where we talk about, you guessed it, history.
Right. History seems to be less and less to people today, but we are trying to do everything we can to keep it alive.
Absolutely. History is a passion of ours for sure, but it connects to you. Russ, tell us about the best part of the show.
You can join in. You can comment and ask questions live.
We've got a great topic today, and we know you're going to enjoy this episode of
History Nuts. And we are live. Man, I'm excited about this one. Hey, everybody, this is Colonel Carson with Family Tree Nuts with, once again, my guest, or my buddy.
Jameson Cable, Kentucky History Podcast, Kentucky History Channel. I'm not what?
You're not a guest. You're my partner here, man.
Yeah. Weekly occurrence, right?
That's right, man. Especially after what we did the other day, right?
That's right, man. Scale or traced all over Crab Orchard.
Chased all over Crab Orchard. Guys, if you haven't seen those videos, make sure you check out either one of our Facebooks or YouTube pages to see some of those videos. They're in the editing process right now, and I am stoked about those. But, man, I am excited about this episode right here.
It's going to be a good one, I do believe. Something maybe not everybody knows about, but a little bit of controversy. I mean, it's got it all.
Yeah, it's got a lot of stuff in it for sure. It does. Sue Mundy, she ain't no Southern Belle, was she?
Definitely not.
She ain't no Southern Belle. So,
but before we get started, comment, tell us where you're at, where you're watching from, and maybe if some people know some more about it. I mean, this is a pretty deep historical gem, if you want to call it that.
It's a controversial period because it's Civil War. It's more controversial because it's Confederate. It's more controversial because it's guerrilla. It's not necessarily regular army. It's more controversial because of, well, I don't want to get too much of the story. This was controversial, isn't it?
It is. So,
yeah.
You ready to get rolling, man? Or
really, right before we do, if you like these kind of videos, a lot of people say, "Hey, I didn't catch the show live." Remember, you can watch this anytime on either the Kentucky History Podcast or Family Tree Nuts' YouTube channel. It'll be on there forever. You'll be able to check that out. So, and make sure you subscribe, so you don't miss stuff like this. You can watch anytime. It's absolutely free. People say, "How much do I got to pay to subscribe?" It's daggone free. That way, you just get a notification when we post stuff. So. Now I'm ready.
That's right. I was gonna say too. I posted one of the comments on to subscribe to the channel. So the link to the YouTube channel, if you're watching from Facebook, is already there. I already got a comment that says Don Gillum says sounds very controversial.
It's pretty controversial.
All right, so. Ready to go?
Man, we got people watching from down on the Ohio River, California, North Carolina. It's going to get crazy.
There we go.
But, man. So, Sue Mundy. She's a bad chick.
Sue Mundy? Oh, definitely. So, Sue Mundy was a lot of things. A Confederate, a guerrilla, an outlaw, and a Kentuckian. So, all that mixed up into one big pot. You're going to get a lot of problems, or it's going to lead to a lot of problems. I guess I should say.
What's a guerrilla?
So that's a good question. So if you think of a guerrilla, I would define it. You may have a better definition of a I wouldn't say an ex-prisoner because they don't necessarily have to have been a prisoner of war, but it's a soldier, I guess, who's on their own doing what they want, I guess, in the eyes of, kind of going rogue. That's a good way to say it. They've gone rogue, and they're kind of doing what they want for their cause, even though there's no leadership or guidance really in the higher up rank. That makes sense. Sound good?
Yeah, that's right. Kind of like a pirate. They're definitely working for the greater cause of things, but they're on their own, kind of thing, and who they're taking their orders from. And man, I got to tell you, I'm jumping ahead just a tad, but can you imagine that life?
Oh, no, man. That's a wild life to take in.
Because these guerrillas are doing what they want. They're robbing banks.
Mm-hmm.
They're burning down supply centers. Robbing stagecoaches, killing Union soldiers. Kind of thing. They're just a rowdy bunch. But man, you know what? Like I heard somebody tell you, as a friend of mine named Rick Allen. He said, "History's like a pancake, man. No matter how flat it is, there's always two sides. So there's another side of the coin." And that yeah, absolutely. So I think Rick's probably watching right now, but that was a great quote. Mm-hmm. So who is Sue Mundy?
So Sue Mundy, I say Sue Mundy. I think it's supposed to be Sue Mundy because I think whenever they were originally, the first article was a typo. It was supposed to be Sue Mundy, but they said Mundy, and so that kind of stuck. But so she was a female guerrilla who went around robbing and murdering in Kentucky. And I mean, some of the stories that have been told are just gruesome, terrible stories. An article from the Louisville Democrat. The Louisville Democrat said that it was an article stating that a town had just heard that Sue Mundy was close, or she had just been through, and they had her and her guerrilla group unit. I guess I could call it a unit. Shot 4 men, and as they were going out of the community, they came across the commander, this is near Bardstown. So Bardstown, the turnpike in Bardstown, if you want to say that. They came across a mail carrier, killed the mail carrier, left him, dying where they found him, and then rode off and robbed everybody that they met on the turnpike. That's a little story, but pretty much there's a lot of stories that are very similar to that. That all
now you're making Sue Mundy out to be a bad guy or a bad girl.
Yep, and it's funny you say that because in a way, the Louisville Journal, who wrote a lot of articles about Sue Mundy, kind of didn't make her out so much that way. It was more of a Robin Hood, sort of, to say it that way. Was taking it to the Union sympathizers and stealing from the Union people, and if any soldiers they ran into, they killed any Union soldiers, and kind of like this Robin Hood
hero
theme or vibe.
Hero. A hero.
Hero.
Or heroine. Yeah. Heroine, I guess you should say. What? But you just said that they're going around and killing people, man, killing not non-combatants and stealing things from people and things. Isn't that that's an anti-hero, isn't it?
Well, it depends on what side you're on. If you're on the Confederate side, Sue Mundy may be doing what you would want her to do. But if you're on the Union side, she would be the bad guy for sure. But before we get too much into it. That's a
great way to look at it. It's a great way to look at it. I mean, it's kind of like we were talking just the other day. I mean, we often today judge people of yesterday by today's standards, and kind of not fair to do that, is it?
All the time. No.
Hey, why'd you wear that gray T-shirt today, man?
This gray T-shirt?
Look, I got my blue on, man. You got that gray.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no,
I already figured out the way you're leaning in this story, man. I figured out the way you're leaning in this story. So that was subliminal.
So Speaking of that, you want to talk about the blue or the Union guy who was in Kentucky at this time? Stephen, is it Gnu Burbridge, also known as Butcher Burbridge?
The butcher.
The butcher. His sole purpose was to come into Kentucky and take care of these guerrillas. Because as we said, Sue Mundy was a guerrilla, but there was more than just her. There was many out there that were causing chaos, and I mean that's really the best way to say it. They were just causing chaos. Taking in Union supply lines, just doing whatever they could to
Montreal's Raiders.
Yep, that's one. But anyway, so he was there. He was sent to Kentucky just to do this, and man, he was hated by, I would say, a lot of people, and I wouldn't necessarily say just people on the Confederate side. I would say even people on the Union side hated him because he was the one enforcing this martial law. And we'll get to this in a little bit too, but like he was setting up these orders, and pretty much these orders were kill on sight, take whoever they wanted, and on and on and on. So it was really good, or it was not really good. I mean, it was really.
I'm glad you brought that up because this is the same stuff. It sounds like Sherman to me, man. It sounds like Sherman, but Sherman's a name that most people know about. But I'd be willing to say if you went to your local Walmart and asked them if they knew about General Burbridge, and I'm talking about people here in Kentucky, there probably wouldn't be one out of 100 didn't even know who he is, right?
No. And about everything you can talk about, or that I've found about him, the biggest common factor is how much people hated him. And I mean, it was both sides hated him, and even Lincoln got to the point where he stepped in and got him out of there because it was so bad. But anyway, I want to emphasize the hate for this guy. So,
right,
where does that lead us? That leads us to the Louisville Journal, and the editor of the Louisville Journal, George Prentice. And he's actually a very controversial guy as well, and we can talk about him more later. That's where this story takes the turn. Sue Mundy is not real.
Yeah, she is, man. We've got all kinds of proof of things that she did, and we're going to get into, about the different issues that she went or activities that her and her men did, right?
Well, no, we're not. Sue Mundy is not real, man. Sue Mundy was created by George Prentice for one cause: to make Butcher Burbridge look like a fool.
Some propaganda.
Propaganda to its fullest. Now, let's say the legend of Sue Mundy, that's real. But Sue Mundy, the person, was not. And it was all made up to make a Burbridge look bad, look stupid. And, I guess it did. It probably, in a way, did that. So.
Well, he created that character to say, look at this. We just got this little old country girl woman that's over there making this big bad general look stupid. This guy is so incompetent. He's trying to rule with an iron fist here around Kentucky and bring law and order and martial law to Kentucky, and he can't control this little old gal out here that's whooping up on the Union Army. But I think it had its effect, didn't it?
I think so. I think it worked. I think it did. Now, and when we can get into the I guess the actual events, if you want to call it that. But I think it worked, and I think that made Burbridge become more aggressive with his orders and trying to catch Sue Mundy. And we'll get into the more of that stuff here in a little bit. But that was kind of the push. That was the push to kind of catch Sue Mundy, and it kind of made him go crazy in a way, to say that. And then he pushed the limits too far, and Lincoln, steps in eventually and takes him out. Says, "You're out. You're leaving, man." But so let's talk about the real Sue Mundy. Are you ready?
I thought you said she
Article.
was fake.
No. Well, kind of,
Wait a
but
minute,
no.
you're confusing me,
Maybe.
Jameson. You said that Sue Mundy was fake. Now you're saying let's talk about the real Sue Mundy. There's got to be some more to this story.
Well, this is Kim Watts. You probably don't know. I know, good friend. She says my granny told stories about burning men's clothes so that the other side didn't know they were there, and the men hid if found, and they were killed if they were found. So we're gonna get into that just in a minute. So a story in a newspaper long ago told about how a lady's mother and her father met, and it goes all the way back to 1864 in Kentucky, and there was a lady or a Confederate spy who everybody knew about who was coming to town, and this was the alleged Sue Mundy. And Sue Mundy came to town and would hang out with this girl, and then they would go to the I don't want to say that. Let's say the ballroom dances. There was a dance practice they would go to, and while they were there, they would flirt. This girl and Sue Mundy would flirt with the Union soldiers to try to get information. They got to the point that they eventually found out that Sue Mundy was in the area, and they would then had to hide Sue Mundy in order to get her out. And keep saying her, but it is actually a Confederate spy, and it was a male who had feminine features, long black curl, or I don't want to say curly, but flowing hair. Is that a good description?
Like you.
Wavy hair, maybe. Oh yeah, there you go. Exactly, man. Woo. But anyway, so they used they used this tactic more than once. They would bring Sue Mundy would go to these places and would pretend and actually flirt with the Union soldiers in order to get information, and then eventually, of course, they would catch on to him, and he would have to go. So yeah.
That story is old as time, man. Sending them gals at loose lips sink ships, man. You know, loose lips sink ships. I remember some Russian gals when I was in Korea that were trying to pump us full of information, you know, kind of thing like that. Batting those eyelids, and I was like, guys, why are you talking to those gals, man? You know, they're asking little bits of information, kind of thing. You get a little bit of information from one guy, a little bit of information from another. Pretty soon you can put the whole puzzle together and figure it out. So story is old as time, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And so that's one article I found, and I'm gonna eventually put these articles up on the website. We'll talk about that in a little bit because they're so interesting to read because they just all fit right here in the story. And there's multiple. I found 4 or 5 just the same kind of stories of Sue Mundy's in town, everybody run, everybody hide, or Sue Mundy's in town, here to spy, or whatever it may be. Different sorts of ways. So. Let's get on to
it created a little bit of hysteria in the communities, didn't it?
Definitely, yes. And I mean, if Sue Mundy and her crew's coming, what's going to happen? Hide. If you're a Union, you better hide. Or if you're show what if you're a Confederate? You'll be okay, or however it may be. And a lot of this too, I don't know 100%, but I'm pretty sure most of this was in like the western part of the state, or at least west of, say, Louisville, Bardstown, those areas. I don't know if it ever really crossed over into, say, the Lexington, or I know not in Eastern Kentucky. So that's kind of the area. But we need to talk about another guerrilla, Captain Marcellus Jerome Clark.
Harambe? We're going to talk about Harambe now? We're going to talk about Harambe? Hey,
easy.
Rip Harambe, man. So I actually saw Harambe about a month before he passed from this earth, but that martyr for some people are googling Harambe right now, But all right, anyway, all right, bad joke.
So, Captain Marcellus Jerome Clark was a Confederate soldier. And he wore his hair long, and he had smooth features. I I don't want to say petite or anything like that, but he had his frame wasn't typical. Yeah,
He's a pretty boy.
he's a pretty boy. That's a good way to say it. Yeah, yeah. So he was born in Franklin, Kentucky, 1844. He enlisted at the age of 17 in the
Yeah.
Confederate Army in the First Kentucky Orphan Brigade. So got in early. He ended up getting captured. He escaped though
Fort
at
Donelson.
Chickamauga. Do what?
Fort Donelson. He was captured. Yeah.
He was reassigned to Morgan's men and became a captain there.
Back up. You're just flying through that, man.
I'm
You're
flying. Sorry, man. Sorry.
Stuff. Yeah, man. He's a daggone private. He's a 17-year-old buck private, and now you just got him as a captain. You don't do that by not being one heck of a daggone soldier. I mean, this guy was a daggone soldier, man, and a motivator, and a very great example to his soldiers. He was a BOW and escaped.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got assigned to Morgan's men. He didn't get assigned. Now, you and I talked about Morgan the other day. Morgan is an absolute icon to people here in Kentucky. Mm-hmm. Well, those that root for the gray side, But he didn't get assigned to Morgan's Raiders because he was daggone knucklehead. I mean, this guy was a real warrior. He was a real tough guy and rose to the rank of captain. And rode with Morgan's on his raids into Kentucky. Now I'll shut up and let you go back. So.
All right. That's good. So anyway, so he took part in Morgan's last raid, and once Morgan died on September 4th, he actually formed his own band of guerrillas, and from October 1864 till for a while. I don't want to give anything away just yet. But he raided, killed Union troops, supply trains, all that stuff, all those things. He ended up teaming up with Quantrell's raiders as well, and basically doing the same thing. Run around, taking care of supply trains, killing soldiers, and I don't want to get into too many of the stories because there's a lot of stories, and some of them are very gruesome. But anyway, you want to hear one?
Well, I mean, these guys are kind of like pirates, man, and that's the key. Yes. You said something key that I think we need to highlight right now to bring up later. Formed his own band. That's a big deal. Yeah. It's a big deal as we move forward there. But let's hear some of that stories.
So in a town in Kentucky, there was word that Sue Mundy was coming, and or raiders. It may not have been specific to Sue Mundy, but a woman or a girl and her boyfriend or her fiance, who was a Union soldier, was at home, and they'd heard, so they were kind of fearful. He left. And the outlaws, if you want to, or the guerrillas, came back and kind of questioned her and this and that. And he kind
wait a minute, outlaws! I thought you were on the gray team.
Whoa! Just tell the story here.
All right. Yeah, that's right. Don't take a side. Just tell the story.
So she told him, hey, he's gone. He's not here, and they left. Well, he came back foolishly. Came back and. They were there eating their dinner, and of course the guerrillas came back, and they didn't know what to do, so they hid him in a clock, and I'm talking about a big old grandfather kind of style clock, and put him in there, keep him quiet. They busted in the door, and were actually very calm and tame. She kind of was expecting them to just come out blazing, but they didn't. They came in. They demanded some food and drinks, and she got it all for them. She prepared it. She had them all set, and then she went back into the kitchen to, I guess get something else. And they opened fire on the clock, and she rushed back in, and all she saw was her fiance's body flopping out of the clock dead, and the guerrillas just pretty much said, nothing and left. I mean, and they, of course, they went on to say how it kind of pretty much traumatized her for the rest of her life, and which is understandable.
Yeah,
pretty dramatic.
Yeah, I mean, all is fair in war, kind of thing. All is fair in love and war, they say. But I mean, it was war.
Yep. Yeah.
It was war, but there's a gray area there because they were guerrillas. So
yeah, how do you? Well, we'll get to that. So anyway, they go on. When we're back to again, we're talking about Marcellus Jerome Clark. He joins up with the Quantrell's Raiders in like February 1865. They raid and they're actually in a place, Lyre Station, Kentucky, and they burn down a railroad station and some cars, which is pretty extreme, of course. But then they get chased. Well, not that moment. Of course, they're always kind of getting chased, I guess. But they get caught eventually in March 12th, 1865, in a tobacco barn, which is about 10 miles south of Brandenburg, Kentucky.
Yeah, Brandenburg.
Mm-hmm.
My buddy Montez up there, man. We did some videos in Brandenburg.
And I think we'll show that one in a little bit, right? Or maybe we'll go to your YouTube channel and check it out.
Yeah, man.
So they get caught. They get surrounded. Basically, they're captured pretty much. They're taken from Brandenburg to Louisville on a steamboat.
Now, I've heard. Now you're just being a little bit. You're leaning a little more blue again here, kind of thing. The story is that Clark actually killed 4 Union soldiers that were trying to get him in that tobacco barn, kind of thing. So you forgot to give the other side of the propaganda.
Forgot to mention that, of course. So basically, though, this is when things get pretty crazy when you're thinking of, like we're saying, war and how this all gets processed. Clark accuses Quantrell of, he gets accused for a lot of things. I guess I should say Clark is blamed for a lot of things. There's a Reverend Talbot, which is very interesting. We'll talk about him a little bit maybe another day. But he visits Clark and told him that they're going to hang him, man. The witnesses are here. The council's up. There is no council. You're going to get hanged pretty soon, or the next day. Things kind of move really fast and almost surprisingly fast. Why? I'll throw a question to you. Why so fast, you think? Why are things happening so fast? I mean, he gets captured. There's no trial, or a 3-hour trial, no counsel, no witnesses, but he's going to get hung the next day.
All right. They bring him to Brandenburg, put him on a steamer. Everything's hush hush. They've captured this big gorilla, this famous guy, and take him to Louisville, and no trial, man. Well, he had a trial. No defense counsel, no witnesses speaking in his defense.
Pretty surprising. I mean, you would think this would be a big deal, a big thing to kind of do. But like we were saying,
this is a big deal, man. I mean, this makes me mad to think about. I mean, here's this guy. He's fighting. He's an enemy combatant. They've captured him. Now, let me back up. My people wore blue. I'll just say that right now. My ancestors wore blue. I have one third great grandfather that wore gray, but I have 7 others that wore blue. But these guys brought him, gave him a trial, no defense counsel, and no witnesses. 3 hours, find him guilty. Yeah, that's garbage, man.
That's crazy. That's pretty wild. Now, and just to set the record straight, my ancestors were blue as well. But
yeah, sure.
So he asked though. So he was pretty. I guess Clark was pretty sure his fate was coming. He has to be baptized. He wrote letters to his loved ones. He had a few requests. He requested that his body be given to his aunt and buried in Franklin, and buried in his Confederate uniform next to his parents. His last words were, "I'm a regular Confederate soldier, not a guerrilla. I have served in the Army for nearly 4 years. I fought under General Buckner at Fort Donelson, and I belonged to General Morgan's command when I entered Kentucky. I believe in and die for the Confederate cause." A few days later, he was hung in Louisville. And
so his whole plea was like, hey, dude, I am an enemy combatant. I should be treated like a prisoner of war. I should be taken into custody and be a prisoner of war, like so many other people were. But they wanted his behind hung. They wanted him dead.
Well, and it's funny, we talked about Burbridge and how Burbridge was basically brought to take care of these guerrillas. And which brings me to this point, he gets somebody, Clark, that kind of resembles or can be, I guess, used to say, hey, this is Sue Mundy. We've got him. We've killed him. We've taken care of this. Kind of like an scapegoat. This was his scapegoat to hang Clark and so forth. However, another twist coming. Was Clark Sue Mundy? Or was it somebody else? All right, are you ready for our next one?
You asked me not to reveal any secrets, so I'm just kind of being quiet.
All right, you're doing good. You're doing good. So Henry Magruder. Henry Magruder. Oh, let's take a quick commercial. All right, quick video.
Oh, we got a quick. Hey, make sure you hang with us. It's a really good video right here. We've got some really good stuff to finish this video out. So check this out real quick, and we'll see you on the other side.
William Grayson was born in 1739 at Bel Air Plantation, Woodbridge, Virginia. His parents were Benjamin and Susan Monroe Grayson. He went to school at the University of Pennsylvania. He attended the University of Oxford, where he graduated with a law degree. After college, he practiced law in Prince William County, Virginia. Grayson mingled with many notable founding fathers of the United States, like George Mason and George Washington. His family had many successful connections. His cousin was James Monroe. He married Eleanor Smallwood, sister of William Smallwood, the governor of Maryland, and they had 5 children. Grayson volunteered when the American Revolutionary War began. He was an aide to George Washington, and he was promoted to lieutenant colonel. Grayson recruited Grayson's regiment and fought in the Philadelphia campaign. Grayson served in other forms during the war. He was on a commission dealing with war prisoners in 1778, and in 1779, he resigned to serve on the Congressional Board of War. He was an original member of the Society of Cincinnati, which was formed by Continental Army officers. After the war, Grayson was part of the Confederation Congress in 1785 and 1787. He helped pass the Northwest Ordinance and a provision that prohibited slavery in the Northwest Territory. He opposed the ratification of the new United States Constitution in 1788. He thought the Constitution wasn't enough for either the federal side or the state side. With the help of Patrick Henry, Grayson was elected to the United States Senate and served there until he died. He was one of 2 senators who opposed ratification. He died on March 12, 1790. He was the first senator of the United States to die in office. I hope you've enjoyed learning about William Grayson. He was a Revolutionary War soldier and had influence on the formation of the United States of America, even though he did have disagreements. What is his connection to Kentucky? Grayson, Kentucky, and Grayson County, the 54th county of Kentucky, were named after William Grayson. Also, his grandson, William Grayson Carter, was a Kentucky state senator. Another grandson was Confederate General John Breckinridge Grayson. Don't forget to try out audibletrial.com/kyhistorypod to get a free book of your choosing. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification button for more Kentucky history content. If you'd like to support the channel, check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/kyhistorypod. Find us on these social media platforms and check out the Kentucky History Podcast on these podcast platforms for more in-depth history of Kentucky. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
And we're back, man. That's a pretty good story there too.
Yeah, pretty interesting. Oh, William Grayson, man. William Grayson.
Yeah, we did a little shift gears there, didn't we?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really enjoy your videos, man. They're getting better and better and better.
Thank you. Go check them out if you want to learn a little more Kentucky history. We'll have some coming soon about Sue Mundy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Hey, we got a few comments. We ought to go through there. Looks like Monica says that I knew Jerome Clark did some terrible things, but I always felt sad for him. He was just a kid like so many others. The story is one of tragedies of the war. He was a kid, man. He was a kid. I think there was like 2,400 people that stayed and watched. They said a lot of young women came out and cried to see him hung, kind of thing.
Yep.
He was just a daggone kid. He died before he could even buy beer in today's world, to put that in perspective. He was that young of a kid, kind of thing. But Alice says that she has both blue and gray in her ancestors, and they were in-laws. And it's happened so much.
Yeah.
The old man Winter said he's reporting from Washington State. Good Marine there. And we let's see. Jim says, I thought that Sue Mundy was actually a guy. Reagan says, for your information, there was a character named Mundy in the oldest legend of Kentucky, Jonathan Swift's silver mines. Supposed to be taking place prior to Boone coming to Kentucky. Interesting. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's why that name was used. And he also says that Sue Mundy was in Midway, Kentucky, and there's a plaque there between Frankfort and Lexington.
Wow. So, yeah.
I wish I'd known that because I was in Midway today. I would have went and got that picture for us. And Reagan also says Reverend Talbot. Is he related to the Talbots and Talbert's Tavern in Barnstown, which I think is built in 1785? Probably.
I think there's a connection there. My mother-in-law lives in Midway, so I may have to check that out and find that. That'd be really cool. So we talked about Sue Mundy. We talked about Marcellus Jerome Clark. Now we're going to talk about Henry Magruder, and his story is very similar to Clark's. I mean, almost identical. He joined the Confederate Army at the age of 17. Served under General Simon Buckner during the Battle of Fort Donelson. He then was captured, and he was captured when Buckner surrendered. He escaped, joined another Confederate troop, and then fought in some. He was General Albert Johnson's personal bodyguard during the Battle of Shiloh. But then Johnston died. Magruder moved again and joined John Hunt Morgan's Kentucky Cavalry unit. You see the parallels? I mean, this is almost a little bit different, but mainly parallels. Once he joined Morgan, of course, when Morgan died, he escaped, and he was actually captured. But then he was able to escape again by crossing the Ohio River back into Kentucky. Now, he joined up with other Confederate soldiers, and they began guerrilla fighting and going and doing the same thing that Clark did, and that what Sue Mundy was said to have done as well. And Magruder, though, I mean, they're all horrible, some of these crimes, but they would burn African American men alive. They would kill Union soldiers. And if they had their wives, if they were with their wives and stuff, they would rape them. Those kind of things. Very bad stuff. His gang was eventually captured. But Henry and some of the others were able to escape, and guess where they ended up? In a tobacco barn in Mead County. They were then surrounded and forced to surrender. You've heard this story before. Magruder was shot a few times during this battle. He was kind of very badly injured. But he was convicted.
He shot to the lung.
he was convicted of being a terrorist and a spy, and he was actually hung in Louisville in October of 1865. So about, I think, what did we say? Clark was hung in March.
Yeah.
So about,
March 15th.
yeah. So quite a few months later. But the reason he wasn't hung so soon is because he had to recover, because he was, which is crazy. We're gonna have to try to nurse you back to health and then hang you. But
Right.
but he was 21 when he died. Very similar to Clark. But the thing is, this is the interesting part about him that brings him in. He was rumored to have been Sue Mundy as well. He was a guerrilla. He attacked, did all those things. However, according to Henry Magruder himself, he was Sue Mundy. And he made this claim in one of his memoirs, 3 Years in the Saddle, The Life and Confessions of Henry Magruder, the original Sue Mundy, the Scourge of Kentucky. So, there's that. Who is Sue Mundy? Who was Sue Mundy?
I don't know. Who is Sue Mundy? It's kind of like there was like 16 different people saying they were Billy the Kid, kind of thing. I thought Sue Mundy was a female.
I know, exactly. It's madness. I'm pretty sure we can confirm that Sue Mundy was a man, or Sue Mundy. Well, we are talking about Sue Mundy wasn't real, I guess, is the real truth to it. Sue Mundy wasn't real. She was just made up, like we said, to antagonize Burbridge, and it pretty much came down to Clark, who led some things, or who led some escapades or some attacks that were similar to what Sue Mundy was supposedly doing, right. And then so was Magruder as well. Yeah. So if you want to go to like who was most likely Sue Mundy, probably was Clark, because he had that feminine, pretty boy look, I guess. Kind of like my locks of joy here.
Yeah. And I something else that stood out with what you were saying is, so often people of history, and even today, I guess, have there's two sides to everything about that. Like one side thinking these guys are heroes, riding into town, tearing up rails, bending, rails so the railroad can't come through, murdering, butchering, killing, and raping, and these horrible atrocities. But half the people think they're heroes, and the other half the people think that they're demons. And that's why he didn't. That's why Marcellus Jerome Clark did not get a fair trial, really, because there was such outrage on the other side. You don't deserve, to be a POW. All the things that you've done, we're absolutely disgusted at what you've done, kind of thing. And they had to be making an example out of him. You asked me about that in a minute. Why did that happen? They had to make an example of him to show power and quick, swift justice, to put that down. His whole persona was trying to make fun of Burbridge, but look what Burbridge did, and he's got the last laugh in the end, kind of thing. So, I don't know, man. It's a serious situation, and we try not to get into Civil War a whole lot around here because of that. So,
it is, and in Kentucky, Kentucky was a divided state by big time.
We say that. We just say that in passing. Kentucky was a neutral state. When they divided, I'm talking about your next door neighbor hated you, man. Could you imagine? And I'm going to say something. The only example I can come up with. Imagine that half of your neighbors thought that 9/11 was good.
Yeah.
I'm serious, man. Imagine half of your neighbors
people
thought
would be
9/11 was a great thing. That is how
you'd be calling the neighbor, or you'd be calling on your neighbor saying, "Hey, these people over here are crazy," and that's the way it was.
You'd be beating their tail out in the front yard, kind of thing. That's really how it was, man. People really, really were split that middle. They didn't just tolerate each other's differences. They absolutely hated each other, and some of that stuff even exists today.
Yep. And we talk, and you always want to learn from history, and That's not all. It doesn't always happen. But yeah, so like you had these people who cheered on Sue Mundy and helped Sue Mundy, or the idea of Sue Mundy, these Confederate guerrillas. And then on the other hand, you had people who were scared to death, and something needed to be done to stop this. And then, I mean, the tolls of war, I guess, or however you want to say it. That's what all this. This is all of that coming to a head, and pretty crazy, pretty wild. Real quick though, my mother-in-law who's watching, thanks for watching. Ask where in Midway is the marker. So if somebody can, let us know where that marker is in Midway, that'd be good.
It's probably right there in between the two railroad tracks, right in the middle of town. There's not too many.
Teresa says that it was because of the atrocities that were done. Yeah, that's very true on both sides. What they often don't realize is that they were grandsons of American Revolutionary veterans who remember what their ancestors did for the country. That's very true. A lot of the soldiers, go ahead. What do you got?
Yeah. What was his last words?
Oh yeah, I did this for my country and the Confederate cause.
Yeah. Sounds to me like Nathaniel Hale. I regret that I have but one life to give for my country. Or my only regret is that I have but one life to give for my country. I mean, these people felt like they were. Anyway, we're going down another path there, but kind of thing. But what a complicated, messed up,
very complicated.
That was. Yep. Man, it was complicated. So,
and back to the beginning, Sue Mundy is what a lot of people refer to it as. But I believe that when George Prentice first wrote it, he meant it to be Sue Mundy, but I guess the typo didn't put in the A, and it's spelled like Mundy instead. But it's very interesting. Very interesting.
It's definitely a surname, Mundy. I was when I first was in the Marines, the commandant was General Mundy. So
so another article. This is very interesting that I read was about this. So this is very. I don't know how true this is, or if this was like the fictional creation of Sue Mundy. So supposedly, there was a girl named Sue Kirksland, I think Kirksland, something like that. And she lived in a town in Kentucky, and her boyfriend or fiance, his name was like John Mundy, or something similar to that. And the Union came in and, like, I guess was raiding or attacked this place, and the boy's mother and father died, and this girl died. And so he supposedly took on the persona of Sue Mundy to honor her, taking her first name, and then he became the actual Sue Mundy. But that was in a newspaper written in the 1890s. Don't know if that's exactly how it went.
I think you could get a lot of dates during that time period if you could portray yourself as being, hey, Sue Mundy, don't tell anybody. It sounds like one heck of a pickup line, man.
Yeah. You're the cart guy that they hung up there. Not Sue Mundy.
I'm the real guy. So yeah, remember he was 20, and you remember when you were 20.
Oh man, the hair, man. I mean, it was good then.
So so I guess that wraps it up about Sue Mundy. If you guys hadn't saw the live videos that Jameson and I did just a couple days ago, check those out on our Facebook page. They've done very well. There's been a lot of views on that. Mm-hmm. So, what's going on with Kentucky History Podcast the next few days?
So we have been on I guess you could say a brief hiatus because we've not had an episode out probably past 2 weeks, and probably won't have one out this week either. But it's because we are plugging away at this website, and we're gonna have us a grand opening or grand reveal next Thursday. So come on by next Thursday, and a giveaway too. So.
Right here. I guess we can tell them, right? I mean, right here on the show, you're going to reveal and open up the website and show them all the things that are on there. I'm excited about that because you'll be able to get a tutorial on how to operate the new website. It's not just a website; it's actually an educational teaching tool to the way you're having it organized. I'm real excited about that, and I think that's going to be a big, huge hit. So so that's next week. Yeah,
a lot of good history. So we're gonna try to get it out there. It'll take time, work in progress, of course, but we're ready to roll it out next Thursday. So
yeah, man. Absolutely. We've got all kinds of stuff going on too, for sure. So yeah, man, I guess we'll, I said it earlier, make sure you guys check it out, subscribe to the channel so you can see when we're doing these things, and make sure that way you can see all our content and stuff. But anything else you want to say before we take off?
That's it, man.
Yeah, man.
Scored with Kentucky.
So the video on the way out is about Meade County. The reason why this is relevant is because Sue Mundy Marcellus Clark was captured. Jerome Marcellus Clark was captured there in Meade County, outside of Guston, there in the tobacco barn. But it's with Montez from Meade County Local. If you want to check them out, they do all kinds of great stuff too. And Montez and I have a lot of more videos that we're going to do, but we do talk about Sue Mundy in this video. But man, I appreciate everybody coming out, and guess we'll sign off for now. And hey, remember, family tree nuts. Let our nuts find the nuts in your family tree.
Squire Boone, Abe Lincoln, General John Hunt Morgan, and gold. Hey everybody, this is Russ from Family Tree Nuts, and I'm in Brandenburg in Meade County, Kentucky, along the Ohio River, and I got my good friend Montez here. You want to tell him who you are?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Montez McCamish, and I am the owner of the Meade County Local.
Meade County Local? What's the Meade County Local?
Meade County Local reports on everything Meade County, Kentucky, whether or not it's history like right now, whether or not it's what's going on in the school events, whether or not it's about just a sports happening inside the town. We report it. We put it on there from Meade County.
That's awesome. I think that's a really good service to the community, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's been really good. We love being able to give back to the community and have the community know what's going on. And for people that aren't in the community, we like them to know what's going on too.
Yeah, that's awesome. So ironically, this is actually the 197th birthday of Meade County, isn't it?
Yes, today is the birthday of Meade County. Meade County was founded in December 17, 1823.
Oh my gosh, 1823. So before the settlers came here, this area was actually known for quite a bit of something, wasn't it?
Yeah, so this area was really inhabited with elk, deer, buffalo, lots of
buffalo.
Yes.
Buffalo come right through here, huh?
Right through here. Just imagine a buffalo coming through Brandenburg.
That's amazing to think about, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you guys actually had a pretty famous early settler here to the area, didn't you?
Yes, we did. We actually had Daniel Boone's brother, Squire Boone. He came through, and along with his son Enoch in 1778.
1778.
That's right.
Oh my gosh, that's just 3 years after the settlement of Boonesboro. So there was settlers to this area quite early in Kentucky history.
I really do think it was just because of all the wildlife that you spoke about, the buffalo and things like that were here.
Wow. So you were telling me earlier that the area was subject to quite a few Native American attacks, wasn't it?
Yeah, so right around the Ohio River, the Native Americans would coast down here, and so what the settlers would do is they would be up in the hillsides, and they would stand watch, and they would peer over so they'd see whenever the Indians would be coming.
Wow, these hillsides right here, huh?
Yes, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. And you were telling me too that the area had quite a few grinding mills here too, along all the creek banks and things.
Yes, Stove Run was one of the very first grinding mills in Kentucky.
Wow. And it was actually built by somebody kind of famous, wasn't it?
Yeah, we all hear about Abraham Lincoln, but his father here, he helped build Doe Run.
Thomas Lincoln helped build the mill here in town.
Yes, it's crazy how small the world really is.
That's an amazing connection right here in Meade County. So like we said earlier, the county was founded in 1823, and who's the county named after?
James Mead.
James Mead. Who's James Mead?
James Mead was a captain in the War of 1812.
Wow. Did he survive?
No, actually he didn't. He was killed at the Battle of Raisin.
Wow, the Battle of Raisin. That's that famous battle that's known for after the British had defeated the Americans, they took American prisoners and their Native American allies started slaughtering some of the Americans. And that was a big rallying cry.
Yeah.
You know, a big rallying point.
For people to sign up for the list.
Absolutely. So also you said that church was a big deal early on around here, wasn't it?
Yes, 4 churches would come together and form the Salem Association of Baptists.
Wow, and what year was that?
That was in 1785.
1785. Now you told me earlier that Squire Boone came here in 1778, and this is just 7 years later, so population was booming, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It really was starting to grow. I really do think that the Ohio River was a main source for a lot of people to get their goods and then just to branch out.
Absolutely. So in the early 1800s, there's a pretty famous artist that came to the area, isn't there?
James Audubon, are you familiar?
Yeah, I've heard of him, the bird guy.
Yeah, so here he would sketch his bird drawings here, and then later on, he became quite famous for it.
He sure did, didn't
he? Yes, he did.
So during the Civil War, General John Hunt Morgan passed right through here on one of his raids, didn't he?
Yeah, right on the Ohio River, he sees 2 steamboats.
Wow, steamboats, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then he launched one of his raids from right here into Indiana.
Wow, right here. A lot of people don't realize about the raids that happened in the north of the Ohio River.
Yeah.
And launched it right here.
Right here, and then right into Indiana.
Awesome. And another thing that you guys are famous for is the Confederate Guerrilla, Sue Mundy.
Yeah, Sue Mundy, he actually... Yeah, they called him that because of his long hair.
Okay.
He was actually captured in Guston.
In Guston, which is just a community right here in the county.
Just a little ways away.
So they captured him here, and I guess what happened? They just let him go a little while later?
No, then they took him to Louisville, and that's when he was hung.
He was hung? Oh my gosh, that's incredible. They weren't fooling around.
No.
They weren't fooling around, are they?
No.
So you guys also have the largest Civil War monument in Kentucky, don't you?
Yes, it actually came from Louisville, Kentucky, right down the Ohio River.
It came on the Ohio River on a barge, I think you said, right?
On a barge, yes. It was so heavy they didn't have any other way to get it down, so they disassembled it, the pieces that they could, and they brought it down on barge on the Ohio River. Meade County wanted it, and Louisville didn't, so we took it in.
What year was that?
That was in 2016.
Wow. And the biggest thing that the area is known for is in 1918 was the establishment of Fort Knox.
Right.
What's Fort Knox?
Fort Knox, if any of all ever heard of 007,
Yeah.
Mr. James Bond, the gold vault.
Gold vault.
That's where the gold is held, is what they say.
Can you take me there?
Well, I could take you by it, but not there.
You think they check my pockets?
They'd probably do more than that.
So yeah, that's definitely something the area is really famous for all over the country, the Fort Knox gold.
Yeah, that gold vault has really got a lot of people staring and wondering, is the gold in there? Is it out? You know, it's well known.
I've heard they spread it out a little bit, you know, but who knows? Well, awesome. Well, I know we've just scratched the surface on the history of Meade County here in this short video, but thank you so much, Montez, for bringing me here and telling me about this awesome spot.
Hey, I know it's cold out. I appreciate you coming, though. Family Tree Nuts is doing a great thing, and I really appreciate you all coming and doing this for Meade County.
Absolutely, absolutely. And here we are in the banks of the Ohio River in Meade County, Kentucky, about 45 miles west or so of Louisville, Kentucky. And hey, remember, Family Tree Nuts, let our nuts find the nuts in your family tree. Like what you see? Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to click the little bell so you get notifications as to when we post new videos. And you can find out more about us and contact us at familytreenuts.org.